Hey there, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridget. It is 7:30 on this Wednesday, August 14th. I'm Bridget Ellison. Glad to have you with us here on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. Today, we are serving up some whiskey with our breakfast because we are highlighting a Florida grown business as part of Black Business Month. So we will talk to one of the creators of Duke and Dame whiskey. That is coming up shortly. But first, we want to get you out the door. And Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos is in the Pinpoint Weather Center with a whole lot of humidity. And, it's definitely an on the rocks kind of morning, Candace.
Oh, I like all the puns already, Bridget. That's good. Um, so next 2 days we're gonna talking summer heat, summer humidity, summer storms, and then maybe a little nibble, little tease of what fall has to offer.
A little sneak preview.
A little bit. We're not going over the top here. You can keep the sweaters at home. But when you start zapping out all that humidity that we are currently been stuck with for the last 3 months, and we'll actually be able to feel the actual temperature, right? So for instance, today our high is what? Mid 90s, 95 degrees, but it's going to be feeling like 108, 109. That's
Yeah.
feeling 10 to 15 degrees hotter. So the moment you zap out that humidity, automatically it's going to feel cooler, right? More comfortable. So it's really going to be a nice welcome change. And it happens to fall on the weekend,
Well,
which
that's
is
like a
a
warm
double
blanket
whammy.
over your face, right?
Exactly. You know, when it's still warm outside, but you just want that extra coziness, that's what this front's going to do. It's going to
Okay.
make things feel a little more comfortable out there. All right. So let's take it to the map, show you what you can expect for your Wednesday. Temperatures are going to be in those mid 90s. We have the heat, we have the humidity, we have those storms. That will all stay in place. We do have a heat advisory, by the way, that will remain in effect for pretty much all of Central Florida until about 6 o'clock this afternoon. But here comes a very weak cold front. Right now, it's kind of just sitting over North Florida, slowly sinking southward. Ahead of that front, we will continue to see those scattered showers, those thunderstorms that will develop. We might be seeing a little more rain in the forecast, a little more storms today and tomorrow, just because we're going to be having some added moisture and instability from that front. But 6 o'clock, still dealing with a couple more scattered showers and thunderstorms, as you can see, they're lingering possibly along our coastline until about 9, 10 o'clock this evening. Then we're going to start talking about it finally coming through Central Florida on Thursday. This is where the front currently sits, and it's going to take its sweet time getting here. And that's actually not a bad thing, because this front, while also bringing us a little bit of relief from the heat and humidity, it's also protecting the eastern seaboard. Let me show you here. So moisture's coming in through Thursday. Here comes that front, but look on the other side of your screen there. That will be Hurricane Ernesto, expected to be a hurricane pretty much with the next advisory. I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of departing Puerto Rico this morning, will continue its trek towards Bermuda. But the reason why it's not getting any closer to us here along the Florida coast is because we have this front that's nudging it and keeping it away from Central Florida. But look at that drier air. That's all filtering in through Friday and Saturday. That's a lot of dry air that we haven't seen in quite some time. And not only dry air coming in from the Gulf, because that's still relatively humid air, but we're talking a northerly pocket of dry air sinking south. So this is the change I'm showing you here. Today and tomorrow feels like temperatures feeling 10 to 15 degrees hotter. Once that front comes through, we're going to see our actual temperatures cool down almost below average. Our average for this time of the year is the mid 90s. So we're going to go below average. So there is technically a cool down. But what you'll really notice is that 10 to 15 degree drop in feels like temperatures. That's why we're talking about the heat risk today is extreme to high. By Friday and Saturday, the heat risk will be almost low to moderate. So there will certainly be a noticeable change. Tropical Storm Ernesto still bringing tons of rain for Puerto Rico. The center, though, is still north of the island. So as that center continues to stay over the open waters, it's still able to keep its strong tropical storm status, even though the bulk of its rain is interacting with land. So 70 miles per hour currently with sustained winds. If it gets upwards of 74, becomes a Category 1 storm. Looks to do that later on today. But you can see come Friday, Saturday, we're talking about a major hurricane potentially approaching the island of Bermuda, while we stay much drier for the weekend. Now, even though this system is still about more than 700 miles away from us at its closest approach, it is going to be roughing up our surf. So although Friday and Saturday looks to be a wonderful day to enjoy a summer day outside, because again, we don't have all that humidity that we always do, just do be aware that it will be dangerous on the beaches. We do have rough surf, high risk of rip currents, choppy seas for boaters. But on land, the weather's going to be great. I also want to turn your attention to the overnight lows. That's also going to be noticeable because our overnight lows have been so warm. This morning, Orlando's been waking up to 80. So if we wake up to low 70s, hello, come to mama, right? Friday and Saturday looking very good. And then before you know it, we'll be back to 96 with a 60% chance of rain later on next week. So enjoy it. Again, it's not pumpkin spice latte just yet, as we talk about whiskey this morning, but certainly going to be a nice welcomed relief for us.
Yes, that sounds like a plan. I can deal with that.
Same.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
All right, we want to get a check of that traffic, and Trooper Steve is out in Results 1, getting warmed up. What's up today, sir?
Yeah, getting warmed up for this cold front that's coming. But listen, it took me 3 days to jump on the bandwagon a little bit to be like, okay, when Candace put those graphics by each other and was like, look, this is why I'm saying it. The first thing I thought about, I know this sounds so adult, but Saturday morning, 7 a.m., my cup of coffee on my patio, not thinking about anything.
For sure.
That's all. That's my finish line right now.
And maybe getting some yard work done without like almost dying. Yeah.
That was me last weekend. I mowed the yard because I took over mowing the backyard now, and because they kept messing up my plants, and I almost died this past weekend. I walked out there, t-shirt, shorts, and I looked like I jumped in my pool. So got to stay on that hydration and stuff.
Yes.
But Bridgett, the roadways, man, they turned a mess this morning real quick. We are making a little bit of progress. So let's go straight to that first. This is DOT cam of the Florida Turnpike in Osceola. I know this looks fine, but once we move on a little bit, you can start to see some of the delay. So this is northbound Turnpike at the 247. We had a crash out there that had all the lanes shut down. They've opened the lanes, but now we're dealing with that residual. So you're seeing red on the screen. That is accurate at this point. So northbound about 6 to 7 miles. I'll move the data map a little further south. You can see even 192, US 192, Earl Bronson Memorial Highway is affected by this. If you're trying to leave St. Cloud, I am so sorry, but you guys are dealing with at least a 15 to 20 minute delay just getting out of the east side. Earlier crash in Brevard County along US 1 has been cleared out. And then jumping over here to the west side, we still have this traffic light giving us a problem. Viewer called this in, and it is reported. It is confirmed. Winter Garden Vineland at Silver Lake Park. So you have a school out there, you have residential, and then you have all the cast members headed into work. Please be careful at this intersection. Further north, along 50 over in the the Winter Garden area, we did have a crash. They've cleared that out for us. So then we slide back over to this area along the Turnpike northern portions or midsection as you make your way into Orange County. Not horrible. So I'll give you some drive times real quick. East and westbound, coming in from Seminole, 417 to downtown, 29 minutes, and then from Osceola Parkway Bridge at 22. So outside of those crashes, we're doing decent, but most people just need to realize, like, life is different now, and we need to get ready for those delays, those backups. There are school buses, there are people out on the roads, different hours, high school, middle school, and elementary, all going at different times. I do not know how some of you parents do it. But my hat is off to you guys because it's not the funnest recipe out there. So just take it nice and easy, and the Turnpike hopefully thin out in about an hour or so.
What are you up to today?
Oh, I can't wait. And I know he can't either. I have been having to reschedule this. And I'm so excited having Results One because we get to continue some of the segments that we used to do throughout the year. So, Serving Those Who Serve does not go away, where we highlight a lot of our amazing veterans here in our Central Florida community. And today I have the absolute pleasure of having a gentleman in my vehicle, Mr. Mark Gimbel. He is a Vietnam veteran. And his story is amazing. He served in Vietnam for just about a year, but he was 22 years old. And now we look at what he did. He wanted to go back to Vietnam and really immerse himself in the culture and replace it and put his feet back on the ground out there. But he did it differently. After battling some severe health illnesses, he recovered, and he and a group of veterans and friends bicycled 390 miles within 2 weeks in Vietnam, stopping at different locations that his memory brought him back to. He was a reconnaissance troop, and he was drafted. So I am so excited to have him into the vehicle today. Just a little touch of history that we have these amazing people right here in our backyard that served years ago and still remember so much. Now 77 years old. He lives in Winter Garden, so he's right here in our backyard. And that interview is going to take place at 10 a.m. today, and I could not be more humbled to have him in the vehicle.
What a fascinating story, and I'm sure there are many lessons and revelations of going back to that place in a much different meaning behind it today for him and those who went on that ride. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just you're there in a time of war, one of the biggest wars we've ever seen, and then you go back 60 years later, and you go and see a completely different country, a culture that is maybe now more appreciative that he did what he did and now comes back to see that. So I just want to speak to him. I want to sit next to this history that we have here in our community, and that will take place at clickorlando.com. News 6 Plus, and of course our app. Make sure you've got all those, get the notification, just watch it. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, looking forward to it. Thanks, Trooper Steve. See you then.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I want to get to a little bit of news before we take a break and come back with our Black Business Month feature interview with Duke and Dame Whiskey. But first, the Susan Lawrence trial continues today, and yesterday lots of evidence was presented. Today, Mark Lehman has a look at what we could expect today in court as the trial resumes.
During opening statements, the focus of both sides was whether or not Susan Lorenz acted in self-defense when she shot and killed her neighbor, A.J. Owens.
Through her own locked front door and killed her unarmed neighbor.
Everything that she was, she felt that she was in mortal danger.
Before the shooting, there was a confrontation where two of Owens' young kids had been playing outside. Deputies say Lorenz yelled at them and threw a skate. When Owens went over, neighbors say they heard banging and yelling.
My wall in between our two apartments started shaking.
Lorenz fired one shot through her locked front door, the defense saying she was panicked, while prosecutors pointed to her later statements. Forensic evidence showed the angle of that bullet.
You're going to hear the defendant say that she shot by the kitchen table. But you're also going to see pictures from the sheriff's office, lasers, trajectory rods, to help you determine where the defendant actually was.
And we'll keep you posted on what happens today in court with that trial. Also this morning, some concerns about where the money went with Visit Orlando. There $6.3 million was spent, and there are some red flags around it. News 6's Troy Campbell has more.
What is one thing that really stands out to you?
The misuse of funds and the lack of transparency.
District 4 Commissioner Myra Uribe says she fears Visit Orlando has gone too long without being held accountable for its more than $100 million yearly budget.
What would be a reason to explain why that would happen?
I would love to know that. The contract's very specific. This is a very seasoned organization, so this isn't the first time around. We're not 1 year in. We're decades in.
Let's take a closer look at some of these issues according to the comptroller's office. First of all, they say that Visit Orlando had $35 million in an emergency reserve account. But right here, the wording in their contract, they stated that an emergency response account would be unnecessary. In addition, according to the audit, Visit Orlando wasn't charging some large advertising accounts like theme parks that would reimburse taxpayer money. For example, they say in 2022, they didn't bill more than $600,000. And in 2023, they didn't bill more than $700,000. Are you concerned that Visit Orlando is using taxpayer funds and not being transparent enough with its reporting that's required per their own contract with the county?
Absolutely, and it's also showing a lot of waste and lack of getting your invoices paid, and also lack of telling us how you're spending the money.
The Orange County Comptroller also notes Visit Orlando has been lobbying without permission from the county.
I was in Tallahassee for transportation. They were in Tallahassee for their own agency. So it's not rocket science. It's very simplistic, but I just felt that they didn't think they were held at that standard.
In a statement, Visit Orlando says in part, "Our team is reviewing and will clarify items with the Comptroller's office, and we are committed to being good partners throughout this audit and beyond." In Orange County, Troy Campbell, Getting Results, News 6.
So we'll be waiting to find out what happens as more information about that audit is released. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bridgett. You know, August is actually Black Business Month, and we wanted to highlight a Florida-grown business called Duke and Dame this morning. And with us, we have Chima Burey, who is one of the co-founders, along with Amani McCauley. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Great. We're excited to hear more about this because you are, of course, a Florida business. You're a Black-owned business, and it is Black Business Month. And tell us about Duke and Dame and just the core things that make up your brand.
Well, Duke and Dame is our award-winning salted caramel whiskey that we started roughly about 6 years ago. And we've won now 15 international spirit awards, rated second best flavored whiskey in the world. And we're just excited about how well the brand has been received and how many new lovers of the brand that we've created through this product.
And you and your business partner, you as business owners have roots in financial careers. Talk to us about what it takes to get a business off the ground and some of the challenges when you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur looking to get into starting something like this or launching any other product.
Well, yes, Amani and myself met working in New York. So I was a commodity and currency trader and he was an investment banker. And that's where the idea of Duke and Dame started. And one of the things that helped us was the fact that because of our business background, we were able to definitely build a model and put our business plan together. And we had experience in operating in, let's say, business per se. But the idea of our whiskey brand, this is the first time that we had done this particular venture. So we had to learn and we had to really talk to other people in the industry, get to know other people in the industry. And unfortunately, there weren't many people within our own community who were whiskey makers. So one of the big hurdles that we had was just understanding that there weren't that many Black businesses that were whiskey makers before us. And just understanding, okay, well, we have to ask the questions and get to know the hurdles that we would experience and learn. And it's a continuous journey every day, just learning and getting better and better. But that was definitely one of the hurdles that we were able to overcome, and it's made us better for it.
And so how old is the business now? Because you are in hundreds of public stores, you're on cruise lines, so this is becoming a more familiar product that people will come across. So how long has it taken to get to where you are right now?
Well, it's taken us 6 years. In fact, we were very fortunate when we first launched. So we launched in just the end of the summer of 2018. And funny story, 2 weeks in, we landed Total Wine, which was unheard of. Typically for a brand new brand, it's a year and a half before some of the big retailers will even talk to you. But we were very fortunate. Total Wine picked us up, and not just one store, but they opened up the entire state to us, which was incredible. But what it did, it took all of our resources right away. So that was something that was a challenge initially, because it's not that we didn't have demand, but we had demand immediately. So the benefit of having additional resources to be able to replenish, because just 30 days after that, we got a call from ABC. And after that, Walmart, and after that, Costco, and subsequently Publix. So the brand really started to move quickly, and we were really fortunate that we were prepared, or at least had the ability to meet that demand when it came on. So that's one of the challenges that businesses or small businesses face initially, whether it's understanding or lack of funding, not necessarily to complete the business plan, but the what if. What if this takes off? What if demand increases? Are you able to meet that demand? Are you able to understand the challenges that some businesses face so you can actually thrive and continue?
And you talked about sort of trying to get your footing and researching and trying to get advice. How are you able to help others now in their journey to exploring starting a small business and helping them be successful?
That's a big part of our journey as well. One of the things that we wanted was to have a channel or some type of avenue for us to be able to have some basic questions answered, or just for us to understand the business more. And we provide that for new and upcoming companies now. So on my calendar quarterly, I have 2 or 3 or 4 different brands that check in, or that we talk about different things that we embarked on when we first started, or giving them advice as to how they can overcome some of the initial hurdles that we had, and hopefully they will be able to get through without experiencing that. So paying it forward is something that we really love to do, and to be a resource for upcoming brands.
What are some of the big takeaways you give people? Because, like you said, you went from Wall Street to now, doing this beverage brand, and so I don't know if that was always like on your vision board, or if that was like the always the end goal. But I would imagine that there takes a certain amount of flexibility or brainstorming and being open to different ideas in order to pursue this type of thing as a business owner.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of us have a thing that we do, but we also have other passions. So when Amani and I first started this, and our family and friends were like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are doing whiskey, but you're finance guys." So we really accepted and understood the challenge that there would be life after finance, and being able to follow different ideas, different passions that we had. So this idea started with dinner one night with a bunch of friends while we were in New York. And when Fireball whiskey had first come out, a buddy bought a round for the table. We took the shot, and then we sparked a conversation. If you could start your own flavored whiskey, what would it be? And immediately I said I would do something reminiscent of a Werther's Original or a Sugar Babies candy. And 3 years later, because immediately we didn't do anything with it, when the market had really exploded within this category, Tennessee Honey had come out, or Crown Apple had come out, and flavored whiskey became a thing. So I turned to Amani and said, "Man, this is something that we should look into. We've never done it before," and it took off. And so we've won a bunch of awards, and highly rated throughout the world. So we're really excited about just following the idea as it develops. You may not know what you're going to do next, but follow an idea, follow a dream, follow a passion, and present a plan behind it, and then you never know what will happen.
Well, this is great, inspiring story. Congratulations on success with the brand. And how can people keep in touch with you before we go?
Oh, all right. So our website, www.dukeanddame.com, and also on Instagram and Facebook at Duke and Dame Whiskey, so they can engage with the brand, and obviously purchase the brand if they're local to Central Florida. Total Wine, ABC, Publix, and Walmart Liquors all carry us.
Super. Well, this is exciting and very enlightening. So we appreciate you stopping in, Chima Bury, with Duke and Dame, and hope to catch up with you again soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. So we want to head out to Pennsylvania. Our Justin Wormuth is out there with the Lake Mary All-Stars in a preview of today's the big day, the first day of the Little League World Series.
Good morning from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the home of the Little League World Series, where tonight Lake Mary will take the field against the Midwest champs, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It should be an awesome game, their first one of this series in their pursuit for the Little League World Series title. But before that happened, yesterday, a really cool moment. They had a parade in downtown Williamsport. Take a look. How's it feel? Atop a semi-truck turned parade float, the 12 Little Leaguers from Lake Mary took a 1-mile trek through a sea of 40,000 people. Waving to fans, signing autographs, giving these 12-year-olds a taste of what it's like to be a rock star. Waiting patiently towards the end of the route, some familiar faces. Their biggest fans. You just saw the boys come through. We've been waiting on them all afternoon. What was that like to see them?
It's just incredible. It's just another piece of the dream coming true. Seeing them in those uniforms, the black and yellow that so many of them have aspired for so long, and just seeing it is just unbelievable.
Earlier in the day, we caught up with the All-Stars at practice. They look sharp, focused, and ready for the bright lights. How excited are you guys to be able to take the field and play in front of a nationwide audience?
I say we're pretty excited. It's going to be a big crowd to play in front of, and it's going to be really fun and a cool experience.
The boys and their parents soaking in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It's a long road to get here, and it's not easy at all to get here. So all the stars aligned, all their hard work paid off, and it's amazing.
All right, so 7 o'clock tonight is when the first pitch will be thrown, but before that, opening ceremonies where all 20 teams will come together from across the world to start this thing off. It should be an incredible time. Reporting in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Justin Mormuth, getting results, News 6.
So excited for them. Cannot wait. We'll all be watching, and good luck to the All-Stars. Man, this could be the beginning of something really big here, so we'll keep you posted. And that's going to do it for breakfast. I'll see you for News 6 at noon. Have a great day.